Hey, this is Stacia, and we're going to do another flashcard session. So thanks for joining me. All right, so we've done 1 through 5 out of my December flashcards, and we've done 6 through 10, which were Night C6 themed. And as you can see, there's 21 total. So this session, we're going to do 11 through 15. All right, so let's go ahead and go to 11 and do this. Okay. Flashcard 11. Against the Italian, I play Bishop c5 to Guioco Piano. So this is a new opening for me. So that's kind of why I'm like learning this, but I think it's good for a lot of chess players to know their lines, especially early lines in the opening. So what are the top 5 moves against this? Well, c3 makes sense, like trying to get in d4. Oh man. Let's do this one. Okay. C3 is the main line, I believe. D3 is a move. That's the Guioco Pianissimo, because that's a bit modest. There's also, I don't think there's D4 right away. Let's see. Oh, castles. Castles is fine. I think that's just a normal move. There is B4, the Evans Gambit. So that is something that I have not faced and not looked at all yet. So that's scary. But at least now I'm aware of it and I know how it comes about. And knight c3 is another move, which I believe after knight f6 is a 4 knights and scores well for black, if I recall. So let's have a look. Yeah, top 5 moves. c3 mainline, castles. b4 Evans Gambit is number 3. Okay, so I'm definitely going to see that one. d3 is Guioco Pianissimo, and knight c3 is the one that transposes to a knight f6, Guioco Piano, 4 knights game. Yeah, and it says black scores well. And you can see that right here in the opening explorer. It's a rare move though. So I'm not sure I'll be seeing that move, but if I do, I should be happy to see it given how black does. Yeah, look at the Evans Gambit though. B4 scores pretty well for white. It's also sharper than the other lines, clearly. You can tell because the amount of draws goes down. So it's more decisive. Okay, let's go to the next card. What opening is this? And what are white's main 3 moves? Okay, so I do recognize this. So the game must have went e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, knight c6, and d4, which would be the Scotch game. So black takes here. I think that's the only reasonable move to take that pawn. And I believe white's responses are the natural looking knight takes, which is the main line. Bishop c4 is the Scotch gambit. And there's also c3 here, the Goring gambit, which I definitely want to learn because my colleague, Roy Ellen Bumpers at work at Progressive Chess, he plays the Goring gambit. So I will be seeing this, especially in our Blitz games, because we play Blitz at work sometimes. And we track our games and we determine who wins the month. And so I probably should have some kind of familiarity with that very soon. And here's the answer. And yeah, so this is correct. Knight takes d4 is the main line, the Scotch gambit, and the Goring gambit. Let's continue. Okay, this is, I believe, flashcard 13. It is. Okay, in this Guioco Pianissimo mainline, our mainline, by the way, knight h5 looks suspicious because it allows knight takes e5. But why is knight takes e5 a blunder? Yeah, so this one's interesting. And these are the kind of opening traps and tricks that I like to make a flashcard of because, yeah, you can figure this stuff out over the board, but I think um, I'm more likely to find it, especially quickly, if I'm familiar with the ideas already. And, and some of these ideas will come up in similar type positions. So it helps with calculation, I think, when you kind of know what's going on or what typically happens. All right, so yeah, and by the way, I believe the main line kind of transposes into a Guioco Pianissimo because like C3 is the main line, and after knight F6, they usually play D3 right then, and I think it transposes right there. So okay, knight H5 is a very interesting move. So it looks like knight takes E5 will win a pawn because of knight takes or pawn takes and queen takes H5, discovery on the knight on H5. This is really interesting because if knight takes e5, we have this nice little intermezzo move, queen h4. Queen h4 does two things. It's kind of a fork in a sense. It's attacking the pawn on f2. And so we're threatening that with check. Notice our nice bishop on a7. But it also guards the knight. So that's really kind of cool. So white needs to defend this threat and save their knight. And there's really no way to do that. So let's look at the different ways. I mean, if you retreat the knight, knight f3, we play queen takes f2 check, and that should be pretty good. If he takes on c6, then we play queen takes f2 check, king h2, and then we take the knight. And we still got this pawn with check. So, yeah, and I think, this is a center pawn that they're getting, but us getting activity on the queen side like this, like winning the f pawn in this manner, is going to give black a huge edge. What's another way? Let's see. So knight takes e5, queen h4. I was thinking about g3, but I think g3 is just bad. Let's see. I was thinking about knight takes g3 there because if pawn takes, queen takes check. And then I'm forking the knight. But I could also just take with a pawn or take with a knight. But then again, he doesn't have to take back. So like g3, knight takes. I think he could play knight f3 right there. And I'm nervous about that position. Attacking the queen. My knight's under attack. I'm honestly not sure what's happening there. But so instead of g3, knight takes, sacking the knight, maybe better is queen takes h3. So we win our pawn back right away. And I think black has a nice advantage there. What's the last move? Oh, yeah, so let's see. So if knight takes e5, queen h4, can white defend the pawn somehow? I mean, there's queen e2 and there's rook f1, but either way, I think I play knight takes e5 and just win a piece. So that seems good. And then after g3, I could just take on h3. I don't see an issue with that. Okay, so let's have a look at the answer. So I wrote knight takes e5. Oh, yeah, knight takes e5, queen takes h5, and knight takes d3 is one reason, but this is only slightly better for black. Best is knight takes e5, queen h4, threatening queen takes f2 and guarding the knight, and this wins on the spot. Yeah, and I just note, if knight f3, we take on f2. If he takes here, we have intermezzo take on f2 check. And if rook f1, we just take the knight. Okay, and now I think this is our last card. Or no, it's not. Okay, 2 more to go. In the Scotch main line, I played queen g6 at the wrong moment. Yeah, this is like, so if you mix up move order in some of these lines, you can get killed. And here's an example where in a training game, I'm not even sure it was a training game, but I think I was just trying to remember the line, just going over it. And I played Queen G6 and realized that was the wrong move. And now white can win. So yeah, this is scary. If you mix up the move order, you can lose on the spot. So how does white win? And then what can black play instead? We already know what black should play, but let's look at what happens here. Well, the move knight takes c6 is a discovery on the bishop. So for example, if knight takes c6 and we just simply capture back, he plays bishop takes bishop. Okay. So that would lose a piece. Not good. So we can't take with the knight then. So after knight takes, maybe we can take with the queen. This would defend the bishop too, right? So knight takes, queen takes. But here I think white has the powerful move queen h5, kind of in the same spirit of that last flashcard. You know what I mean? Because the queen is forking f7 and the bishop. So attacking the bishop a second time. And I don't know how we defend both threats. Like if we just castle, he can just play queen takes bishop or even bishop takes bishop. Probably queen takes is more than fine because white would be happy to trade a piece up. So yeah, and if we try to like move the bishop, he'll take on f7. And I think those lines are actually quite crazy, but I can't imagine willingly going into that. So we'll rule that out. Okay. So we've ruled out knight takes and queen takes. Pawn takes, same thing. He'll take the bishop. So we need something else here. So after knight takes, we do have bishop takes e3. This is a try. But here, I think white can take on e7. So knight takes e7. And the problem now is that white took a piece. We take a piece here. Now he takes a second piece. Okay. He took a second piece. And if I retreat my bishop to safety, he takes my queen. It's a tempo on the queen. And if I play bishop takes f2 check, and he plays king takes, I can play king takes, but I believe I'm down a piece, right? So let's double check that. He takes one piece, I get it back. He takes a second piece, I take a pawn. So I'm not taking a piece there. And now he gets a third piece and I get a second piece. So yeah, I'm a piece down there and that would be losing. So there you go. Here's the answer, knight takes c6. This is everything we went over. Yeah, knight takes c7, queen takes c6. Okay. Oh, and I looked at queen takes g2. Yeah, so I forgot to look at this move. If queen takes g2, rook f1. All right, let's have a look at this real quick. So knight takes c6. I was thinking queen takes g2 is a move because we're threatening the rook. Rook f1, bringing the rook to safety. He can probably just take here. Isn't he just up a piece then? So let's see. Oh, I still have bishop takes e3 as well. That's still something. All right, so see how it gets complicated? Queen takes g2, rook f1. This is after knight takes c6. Okay, start from the beginning. Knight takes c6. Queen takes g2. Rook f1. Now I have this check too. What am I talking about? That's not a check. Okay. Here we can play bishop takes e3. But again, knight takes e7. It's not a tempo on the queen this time. Yeah, honestly, I don't know. Let's just look at the answer. Queen takes g2, rook f1. If bishop takes e3, knight takes e7. Bishop g5. Complicated. Knight takes, queen takes g2, rook f1, bishop takes here, he plays knight takes e7. Crazy because with the queen on g2 and the bishop on e3, we're attacking f2 twice, but rook f1 defended it. So that's kind of crazy. And if we trade everything off there, I'm just down a queen. So knight takes e7, and then it said bishop g5. Yeah, so I'm saying that I don't want him to play f takes e3, so bishop g5 retreating, attacking the knight. And then what? Knight d5 or knight takes c8. Oh, okay. So then either the knight comes back. Wait, the knight goes to d5? Oh, right here. Yeah, he can go there, which is a good square. Or he can just take the bishop and he's up a piece. Still up a piece. So there you go. That was tough. Okay. And last card. And you can see why I only do 5 of these. I make them pretty involved for the most part. So 5 is plenty for a session. And this one's interesting. Can we take the juicy looking pawn on d6? Oh yeah, and this is funny. This actually isn't knight c6 themed, but that's okay. This one, I have no idea what opening this was, but yeah, it looks like we could take this, right? Because like you're taking it, you're attacking the knight. If we take the knight, it's tempo on the queen. Looks good. And I did calculate knight e5 when I played this move, so bishop takes knight e5, and I thought, well, I understand that if I take here, he'll play knight takes f3 check, and that's losing. So I can't do that, but I can play bishop takes knight e5, bishop takes knight. So knight e5 doesn't work. Here's what I missed. Bishop takes, and black has the very simple queen b6 check. Queen b6 check, and this would fork the bishop and fork the king. And I lose a bishop for a pawn. Yeah. So awful. And I like concentrating on moments like this because it's a very simple idea, right? You need to always be aware of your opponent's checks and captures. And I want to throw in tempo moves too, but like if I'm missing checks and captures, then I need to just look at checks and captures, you know? So before I make any move, I should just be like, hey, queen b6 check is in the position. Careful, you know? And then I think after you know this move is there, then there's no way you'll take on d6, you know, because you see that check and you're like, oh, he takes it. So I might even like prep the move with like rook a to d1. So now I could play bishop takes, and if queen b6 check, I'm fine now because the rook would defend the bishop, and I could just move my king and win that pawn. Next, I'm going to take the knight. So okay, I hope you enjoyed this flashcard session. I think I want to go through them. I like to always do this at the end of a session, just review quickly the ideas that we learned and to be aware of. So let's see. Real quickly. So the lines against the Guioco Piano are c3, d3, castles, b4, the Evans Gambit. This is something I will want to study for sure. And there's one more, knight c3, which is not a good move. All right, and this one was the Scotch. And it's kind of funny. There's the main line with knight takes, and then there's 2 gambits, bishop c4 and c3. Okay, this was in the main line. It's this really cool idea that we can play knight h5, allowing knight takes e5 because of queen h4, and we went over those lines. But that's an idea I want to be familiar with. I have a feeling that I'm going to see this over the board at Parma. I really do, because there's one opponent that plays kind of like this. And we'll see if I get this exact position, but we'll find, you know. All right, and yeah, in the Scotch main line, this really was eye-opening to me that Queen G6 could be such a blunder. Wow, and I didn't answer the question. Um, what should Black play instead? Well, the answer is Knight E5. Knight E5 stops this Knight takes C6 thing, and it's a tempo on the bishop. And in the main line, I think Bishop E3 is very natural, but they actually play Bishop E2. I'm not totally sure why, so that would be my next step, studying that line. And here, can we take this pawn? And the answer is no, because of this check. So this is a very stark reminder to me that I need to stay aware of checks. I have a bad habit of missing checks, and I think as long as I do, I'm not going to reach 1900 like I'm aiming for in 2020. So I need to be aware of checks. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this flashcard session with me, and have a great day. I'll be back with more chess. Thank you. Bye.